Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're gonna talk about FIPPs, also known as Fair Information Practice Principle. So let's talk a little bit about it. What is FIPPs? They are a collection of data privacy principles that emphasize on transparency, individual engagement, data minimization, use of limitations, data quality and integrity, security, accountability, and auditing. These practices are intended to promote responsible data and practice data preservation, or how to practice individual data privacies. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So let's start with individual data privacy or data practice. Individual data practice, in short terms, putting it as you as an individual having the right to allow an organization to either collect data from you or not collect data from you. It's like using a good example is your iPhone. Sometimes they ask you, do you allow it to track or not allow it to track? It gives you that opportunity to answer, do you want your data to be collected or do not want data to be collected? Data minimization is required for organizations to minimize and collect useful data and discard the non-useful data that they have, discard them. Organizations also are responsible for completing data and making sure the data they are collecting is completed, and check the integrity of the data usage on a regular basis. So it is very important for companies that collect data to protect data from any illegal use or any criminal activities, because personal data or any sort of data is very important. So it's also refers as security. Protecting of data is refers as security, making sure it's not used for any illegal form or anyways. Data should be stored securely and by an authorized person that has access to those data. So let's say if I were to, a good example is working for a company, there is sort of policies, security policies or data policies that have been placed. So you, the individual, wouldn't have access to everything. You have security access to a point within the company, and the CEO or the CFO also has access to a point within the company. So that to make sure that one person does not have total access to the whole entire, let's say, building or data that needs to be protected. It is necessary for organizations to be accountable for their data practice. Also refers about, as you know, accountability. It's very important for organizations to be accountable for any, or hold themselves accountable for any misuse of data within their organization. Organizations must have systems and policies in place to ensure compliance with FIPPs. Auditing refers to as a requirement of enterprise to auditing their data processes on a regular basis to guarantee compliance with FIPPs. Auditing should be carried out by a third party who is not affiliated with the company. So comparing FIPP to other privacy policies, laws, and regulations, most privacy laws and regulations are not that extensive as FIPPs. They address more broader variety of its privacy issues and are intended to be more adaptive to changing technology and business practices. In addition, FIPPs place a greater emphasis on corporations' accountability and openness, other than other privacy policy rules and regulations. Organizations that use FIPPs must report to their compliance with their principle on the annual basis. So basically, FIPPs plays much more broader um, when it comes to policy and data usage and data protection for you, the organization, and technology, and you, the individual as well. So, so FIPPs are intended to enforce by a number of means by self-regulation, government regulation, and private lawsuit. So if a company tends to lose your data or misuse your data, you have the individual have the right to sue them for misuse of your data privacy or your data collection. So how is FIPPs useful in protecting personally identifiable information, and how a federal agent can use to put those into those policies to work? So let's say a good example will be fair information practice. The federal agent or the federal agency must require or acquire and disclose. So they acquire the data, and they use those data, and they disclose that data to make sure to keep personal identifying information in accordance with the, let's say, fair information principle or the fair information practice, FIPPs. The privacy aspect of it is the federal agency must respect people's privacy and protect individuals' identity information. So when they do put together a profile, they do tend to practice all of this FIPPs, making sure they are accountable and keeping your data secure, making sure all agencies do that, making sure they collect the right data and discard the data they don't need, and then keeping those data private and secure in a shell of, let's say, of a safeguard for people to prevent unauthorized access to your data. So whoever's in charge of it will only have access to your data, and no one else will have access to your data. They also federal agencies should be transparent. Should be transparent in their management of personally identifying information, and individual should have access to their own data. And as we all know, this you have, like I said, you, the individual, have control of your data, how you want it to be used, and the agency or the federal agency also will have to be transparent with you. So sometimes if you visit a website, they ask you, do you want to accept these cookies or not? So it's something in part to that, holding themselves accountable for any data that is misused, or any data that is collected from you or you, the individual, and is not handled responsibly. Basically, they hold themselves accountable. They are compliance with the law and the rules and the regulations. You have to hold yourself accountable and compliance with the law that has been put in place for you, the individual, and the organization that they work for. So these are some of the what FIPPs do, and how the usefulness and how it protects you, your data security and organizations. Thank you for watching.